there we have some of the Brazilian supporters here today. They're always colourful, they're always loud, and I guess the good thing, Paul Wade, they're always in green and gold, so we can assume that they're supporting Australia as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They will not shut up for 90 minutes plus. Even when the fans most of them have gone home, they will be jumping up and down. That's the way they are all over the world.
It's going to be a very big day for national coach Frank Farina. It's his first task in this mission. Let's hear him now speaking with Mike Cockerell.
Frank Farina, game one of your coaching career, how does it feel?
Oh, it's very exciting, Mike. I'm looking forward to it, and the players are as well. I think it's going to be a great crowd, so a little bit nervous, mate, but I'll get there.
Some problems going into the match. Mark Viduka is out of the game today.
Yes, Mark's been ruled out. He's got a problem with his quad, which we picked up the other day, and it's a bit disappointing, but I'm sure Damien coming in will, he'll be as keen and enthusiastic to put on a good show as well.
What sort of football are we going to see from the Socceroos today? Is it going to be an attacking game?
I think it'll end up an attacking game, Mike, but with the weather as it is, very hot. You've got to understand a lot of our boys are playing in much cooler temperatures over there, so I'm hoping that it's not going to be a problem, but at the end of the day, we will be pushing forward. We have to play that way.
These are friendly games as quickly. Does the result matter to you? Is it a concern?
Results always important to me. I'd never like to play a game just for the fun, if you like. So the result is very important, and hopefully we'll play well and get the result today.
Even you as an ex-player must still feel the palms getting sweaty.
It's a lot more than the palms sweaty. I tell you, you're almost feeling sick at the moment. It's really a funny feeling.
Well, you might be feeling sick. I'm just feeling rather excited.
Oh yeah, it's great up here in the stands, but I tell you what, you think, hang on, let's just get this game underway, because I mean, Ned's Alex, have a look at him. He doesn't look sick at all. He's been there at 1860 Munich for a long, long time, in Germany now, played in France, back here in Australia, played for Sydney Olympics. So, these guys are more experienced. Maybe it was the fact that I didn't go overseas, that's why I felt sick.
We see the FIFA flag out there, the fair play, also a very big thing. Do you think we're going to see much fair play here today, or is it going to be all in?
No, I think you will see a lot of fair play. I mean, these guys are professional footballers, especially on the Australian side. They don't want to hurt anybody. There's the Nielsen on the screen right now, $55 million worth of player, the captain of Brazil today. But I think there's going to be a lot of good football to play. Speaking to a lot of people, including Paul Williams, the commentator, he says that if you go to a Brazilian game, you'll see 10 things you've never seen in football before. Now, if that's the sort of thing we're expecting today, then I'm looking forward to it.
All right, we're getting ready for the Brazilian national anthem. Of course, that will be followed by the Australian national anthem. We see the dignitaries walking out into the middle now to meet the teams. Obviously, Basil Scarcella is there, who is the chairman of Soccer Australia. The Honourable Neville Wran, who is the president of Soccer Australia. Mark Bosnich, what are you expecting from Mark Bosnich? There's been so many rumours leading into this game. He's out there. How long will he last?
That's a very good question. A lot of people are speculating that he won't see out the first 45 minutes. Mark Bosnich knows that he's got a job to do as a skipper out there, and a lot of it will be controlling the back four and the guys in the midfield. Now, it's going to be a big test. Can he shout from where he is to where the decisions need to be made in the middle of the park? That's going to be a good test for him.
You know he can do that.
He's got a big mouth. He'll make sure that everybody fires up for today's game.
And is this the first time ever that a goalkeeper has in fact captained Australia?
That's a very good question. Thanks very much for asking me, Tracy. I couldn't give you an answer, but by the end of 90 minutes I probably will be able to. Interesting to note that the Socceroos are in green and gold. It's the Brazilians that have had to change their colours, and so often we've entertained the opposition so many times and done everything for them, or we've given them a great stadium to play in, but you're not going to have the colours this time.
And now we hear the crowd erupting a little bit more, because the officials have now met the party. They gather in the middle to prepare for the national anthems. And this is the moment when the photographers from around the world gather in front. A tense moment to get all the shots of the people they need. They'll be sent right around the world immediately after the game.
It's funny, the players obviously feeling the nerves as well. When you're standing there, you talk about plenty of things.
Well, Paul, just before the national anthems, you were saying you talk about some incredible things out there while the photographers are taking photos. Can you give us an example of what?
Well, you're basically not talking about the tactics, let me assure you of that. There are several good-looking ladies in the audience, and that's something that some of the boys talk about. So it really is a nervous reaction. They've got to talk. They've got to talk about something.
You're not serious.
No,
it's a nervous reaction.
It is a nervous.
Pick out the good-looking women in the crowd.
You're not going to talk about closing down when there's so many good-looking people in the crowd. That's for sure.
Well, we see both teams now running out onto the park. The official photos have been taken. We're clearing away the FIFA Fair Play flag, and down comes the big soccer ball. We'll now have the coin toss, which will be done by Mr. JJ Song of LG Electronics. And at this point, Paul Wade, I think I'll leave you in the capable hands of Mr. Paul Williams.
Thank you, Tracy. Well, it's about time there's a football match starting to happen in this town with all the other fuss and drama that we've had this week. And I know, Wadey, you and I are delighted that we've got 90 minutes of football in front of us. That's Mark Bosnich, the Australian captain, shaking hands there with Danielson, the Brazilian midfielder. What a player he is already. He's only 22 years of age. He's already a world superstar. And let's take a look at the starting 11 for the Brazilian side.
It's interesting, isn't it? The one that really sets my tail wagging is Alex, number 10. He really is considered the best number 10 in Brazil. Didi down that left-hand side is going to be dynamite. You've got Danielson down that left-hand side. You might notice that they're lining up as a 4-2-2-2. It won't appear that way. There won't be plenty of space out wide. Marcos and Mozart will drop back into just in front of those back four, and Didi will race down that left-hand side, as will Mancini.
Well, one of the great players in this Brazilian lineup is Danielson, and we're just taking a look at him here in last year's World Cup final. This is Danielson now attacking the ball, attacking the fullback as well. He's an incredible dribbler. He's a real wizard on the ball, and he's going to be tormenting Kevin Muscat today, Wadey.
Well, if anybody dives in, they'll get skinned. You can be guaranteed that. And once he beats one, everybody else has to readjust, and it really does put you off your game. Dancing over the top of the ball has been used sparingly by Brazil in the past, but I can imagine that today he will have much greater impact.
Yeah, he really is the star of this Olympic side. Came on as a substitute for most of his appearances in the World Cup, but the other man to watch is Ronaldinho. Only 19 years of age, but he's already managed 7 international goals, which is quite extraordinary. He's regarded as the new Ronaldo, the little Ronaldo. That's what his name actually means, and we're expecting big things from him tonight as he is in attack with Fabio Junior. Well, the match about to get underway. Brett Hugo is today's referee. What a good moment it is for him in his international career as well. Both sets of players have a lot at stake and a lot to prove as well. It's the Socceroo players' first opportunity to impress Frank Farina, his first game in charge. The Brazilians are embarking on a quest for Olympic gold medal, and they really want to shine in front of the national team as well as the Olympic team coach as well, Vanderlei Luxemburgo. Brett Hugo about to get the match underway. As we just take a look at the Australian lineup. Craig Moore and Tony Vidmar, club mates at Rangers in Scotland, but also pairing up together here.
Yeah, they've got a tough job ahead of them, haven't they? But when you talk about solid defenders, you can't get better than those two. The one that the man about to kick off now, Steve Corica, he'll be the key for me, just in behind those two front.
Well, it's the beginning of a new era for Australian football, the era of Frank Farina. At 34, he's one of the youngest international coaches in world football. It's his first taste here as a coach. He'll be judged not on the result today against a youthful Brazilian team, but on qualification to the 2002 World Cup. That's fairly straightforward. And this match here this afternoon is the beginning of that path. Well, Brazil are here to start their own journey for Olympic glory. They've never won an Olympic gold medal. Expecting big things from so many of their players. But it was quite warm down on the pitch, Paul Wade. We were down there just prior to the game. It's a humid day here in Sydney, and there's quite a bit of wind around the ground as well.
Well, you can see the tactics already, can't you? The Australians just sitting back saying, well, we're not going to go and chase this ball all over the ground. We're going to let you play. We know we've got to conserve our energy. There are 5 substitutes today that all of them can be used. So I think Frank Farina, that's going to be one of the tricks that he's going to have up his sleeve. When does he introduce them? Who does he introduce at the right time? It's all tactics.
Well, that was intercepted quite beautifully there by Paul Ocon. What a great thrill it is to see him and Ned Zelic back in the Australian colours once again. 2 players who have a touch of Brazilian about them, if you like, the way they do play the game. Craig Moore at the back today for the Socceroos. Zelic goes back to, well, I thought he was going to go back to Bosnich, but he's just fed Ocon, who's pushing into midfield. The 2 players are interchangeable at any time, of course. And that's touched on. Chasing hard is Corica. Tiato's prepared to challenge the goalkeeper, though Silvio did get there first. Here's Marcos Paulo, one of 2 guardians of the back 4. He and the number 8, Mozart, will be the defensive midfielders today. And Danielson got to the ball first before Moore. Well, that is the pace of the man. I'm sure that wasn't an intentional kick by Moore. He was just caught out by the sheer speed of Danielson. Well, the Brazilian went flying there. Well, that before Danielson even had a chance to run at the defence, and that surely was his next move. So it's a free kick to Brazil. Filled into the near post. Well won there by Ocon. Back in by Mozart. Tiato back heeling the ball clear. Not a bad move from Tiato. It was effective. Sent the ball out wide. Brazil forced to go back. Marcos Paulo there. Well, you talked about the Brazilian left back before the game, Paul, Dedé, and the Brazilian bench, they have a Tierson, who is just an absolute fabulous player, and if Dedé can keep him out of the team, it just goes to show what quality they've got.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, we all talk about the great teams, but Brazil have got depth, and I think that's why they have won 4 World Cups. They've got so many players. If you're missing one, you could just replace him with another one. It's quite fascinating. They played on the beach. They probably have substitutions on the beach as well. Flicked on. That's a nice ball. Fabio Junior into the penalty area. Danger here for Australia, but well cleared away, and Corica comes away with the ball, but is fouled. And Mike Cockrell is down on the touchlines with some news.
Yes, Paul, the number 10 for Brazil, Alex, has a problem with a bloodied nose. I think he went up for that header in the edge of the box, and he's receiving treatment.
So an early blow for the Brazilians. Danielson brought to ground heavily, and Tiato showing a bit of skill of his own as he skips past his man and whips it across, and that's a corner to the Socceroos, and a good positive beginning from Danny Tiato. Alex still getting treatment on the touchline. Plays just behind the front two strikers, wants to come back on the park. Brett Hugo says, OK, on you come. And it's a corner now to Australia. Corica. Zelic in some space. Might fancy a shot here, Zelic, as he just gets past his man. Here's Tiato. And again, he goes outside his man. This is great play from Tiato. A good cross as well. In comes Moore. And a very promising start for the Socceroos. But Danny Tiato, certainly the main man from an Australian perspective so far. Well, Tiato had a superb series against Manchester United when he really came back into the international fold after several years in the wilderness. He's continuing on with that now, but just look at the space here for Richard Johnson. Johnson again. Early cross in, searching for Corica, but Dede was there. Marcos Paulo, the number 5, the traditional number 5 for Brazil, is a player who really does play very deeply indeed. He's the team's playmaker. These days Brazil play with a couple of players in that role. Marcos Paulo on the ball and Mozart as well. Here's Fabio Jr. with time to turn. Ronaldinho quickly closed down by Tiato. Mozart trying to pick out Ronaldinho at the far post. Here's Ronaldinho again. What can he do? He's in the area. It's dangerous. He just tried to play the ball through there to Fabio Jr. He's still going Ronaldinho. And Moore, very calm. Bosnich. The response from Mark Bosnich, are you serious? Just get the ball out of there. It was calm play by Moore. Marcos Paulo feeding the ball forward to Fabio Jr. And a little ball over the top, and this is where Brazil are dangerous with their fullbacks getting forward. Well, it's the first time that we've seen the Brazilian number 2, Mancini, galloping down the right-hand side, but we expect a lot of that from him and from Dede on the left-hand side. Marcos Paulo wriggling through is Alex. He's got past one. He's into the area. Danger here for Australia, but the shot was blocked. It was closed down very quickly indeed. And it's a free kick to the Socceroos. Just kept in. Alex couldn't bring the ball down. Now he gets a touch with a little nod back from Fabio Jr. Ronaldinho. That's a nice switch of play for him. And here's Dede in some space. Plays for Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga. Pings across to the far post, but no one there for Brazil. Ocon now. Corica losing his marker. So mobile in midfield, Steve Corica. Taking on a couple. Prepared to run at the defence, which is good to see. Stopped in his tracks by Mancini. Well, we've had almost 9 minutes gone, Wadey. Both sides look like they're taking a very positive approach to the game, which is terrific to see.
Tremendous, knocking the ball around well, both sides.
And then Nielsen playing it across. Surely the flag's going to go up, and it is. And that was offside. Fabio Jr. finished off the goal, but he was a mile offside, and Bosnich knows it. Well, there was an injury cloud over Mark Bosnich coming into the game. As we take another look here, Danielson, it was free down the left-hand side, and we see there a couple of metres offside, Fabio Jr. I was talking to Zelko Kalats before the game, Australia's reserve keeper for today's match, and he says there's absolutely nothing wrong with Bosnich's hamstring. And certainly the way he was training the other day, I'd have to say that I agree with him. Another offside. Well, the last time these two sides met was a couple of years ago at the Confederations Cup. Brazil handed Australia a 6-0 drubbing. As we take another look, Fabio Junior offside again, but Mark Viduka was in the news that day as well because he was sent off very early on in the first half. And it made it very difficult for the Australians. Tiato playing it on quickly. The Brazilian starting 11 ply their trade in Europe already. That's a very strong challenge, and Ronaldinho's just turned straight away to the referee, but Danny Tiato is a man who only sees the ball.
It's interesting to see the referee. Obviously, he doesn't want to overreact. He realises it's not exactly a World Cup qualifier, but he's got to get control of this. There's been a couple of tackles that have been just outside the boundaries, and you just wonder to yourself, Brett Hugo, I wonder how much more you're going to let these things go before you start flashing some yellow cards and really get some control. It hasn't got out of hand at the moment, but you just feel it's simmering, and just under the surface it just might explode.
Well, Mike Cockrell has some more news from the sidelines.
Yes, Paul, it could just be a minor problem with Tony Vidmar. He's holding his groin. He was down behind play a moment or two ago, so the physio just waiting to see what happens.
Well, Richard Johnson was a long way out as he tried his luck, and it's a fantastic moment for Richard Johnson. Hails from Kurri Kurri in northern New South Wales as a busload of his family and friends come down as we take another look at his shot here. But he left Australia 9 years ago as a 16-year-old to try his luck overseas, and that was just a crunching tackle by Muscat on Dedet. Take another look at there. He clearly played the ball, but Dedet just stayed down. There's nothing illegal with the challenge.
No, not at all.
Just a typical Kevin Muscat challenge, really. And after several seasons in the First Division in England, Wadey, I'm sure he's well used to marking speedy wingers.
Yeah, he's one player who has been criticised in the past of challenges a little bit late, a little bit of over-exuberance, as it were, but nothing wrong with that. He was voted the Wolverhampton Wanderers Footballer of the Year last year, according to the fans. So he's having a real purple patch. He plays regularly, unlike Steve Corica, who really can't cement a place at Wolves.
Well, while we're looking at the shots of Dedet, who is down and getting some treatment, there was also an Australian down as well. Make the most of it. Tiato inside. Johnson goes all the way back to Vidmar, but he can't keep it in. Just short of the quarter-hour mark here at Stadium Australia. Australia 0, Brazil 0. Dedet back on the park and on the ball, though he's limping very heavily indeed, and he just glanced at the trainer as if to say, I don't think I can continue, so we'll watch that closely. Meanwhile, Brazil come forward. Alex touched off by Fabio Junior. Danielson's looking pretty sprightly. Two men over to close him down very quickly. Still Danielson went through. Well, that will be a corner to Brazil, but Danielson saying that he was obstructed quite clearly. I'm not sure that he hasn't got a case as we take another look here. This is the pace of the man. And the arm came across there and obstructed him. Meanwhile, Brazil are forced to make a substitution now. Danielson not happy with that decision. Will the substitution take place before the corner? That's the question. Well, coming on is a man that we know a lot about, and that is the number 16, Atierson. What a shame for Dede. Came here with such a big reputation as well, but Tierson is a super player down that left-hand side. Brazil have the corner. Bosnich comes and gathers pretty easily. Time for Johnson to turn in midfield. I asked him what sort of player he described himself as when he went to a soccer training during the week. He says he's a hard-working player. He wins the ball in midfield and just moves it on to the wide players. That's the role for Watford, and I'm not sure that Frank Farina isn't using him in the same sort of situation here. And look at this, danger for Brazil. Just a little bit unconvincing in the centre of defence there, the Brazilian pairing. And it's not surprising either, Paul Wade, because although they're a greatly talented side, they haven't played a lot of games together.
No, and I think that's where Frank Farina is going to find out that it's a hell of a lot different than coaching a National Soccer League team. You get them for 5 days before a major international.
Here's a Tierson already in the action down that left-hand side, and a good cross as well. Awkward for Tony Vidmar. You can see the breeze in the hair of Mark Bosnich. Well, Tierson already playing further on than Danielson. And a corner to Brazil, taken by Ronaldinho. It's their second of the game. A couple of big men coming forward from the back, but Australia had their own big men, but that was some hesitant defending again. Well, Tony Vidmar certainly in the thick of things in the moment. Mark Bosnich just surprisingly looking a little bit quiet. He's just organising the team now. Interesting to see how the role of captain affects him on the park. I would suggest it won't do an awful lot to change his style as Tiato blocks that one away for another corner. Alex to take it. And some more convincing clearance by Ned Zelic at the front post. Alex leaves the ball. Mancini comes across to take it. Alex again, still Brazil in possession. Ronaldinho. Marcos Paulo, back to Mozart. Here's Tierson. And Brazil have another man limping in Danielson. What will happen to him? The Brazilian captain also in trouble. Fabio Junior. Brought to ground, and there's another Brazilian gone down. And Tierson this time fouled by Moore. Oh, Fabio Junior went down. Moore tackled from behind. Brazil get on with the game. Marcos Paulo now. Still concerns over Danielson though. In Australia now break over the halfway line. First time they've been in Brazil's half for a few minutes. That's a nice ball inside from Tiato. Zelic. Looks short for Murray, who hasn't had too many touches so far. Zelic looking for Tiato out wide on the left, but he's not there. Oh, straight into the face of Ronaldinho. Alex wins the throw, but things not going right for Brazil so far from a physical perspective. Still Danielson is on the park. Ronaldinho copped one in the face as well. Oh, that's a super turn. Alex. Past Tony Vidmar, looking for Fabio Junior. He wasn't watching. Marcos Paulo in possession. Mozart. Now Tierson wanting to join in down the left. Here he is. Oh, that's a brilliant dummy. But Alex wasn't quite ready to latch onto that one. Tiato now running at his man. Ocon joining in midfield, which is good to see. Here's Zelic. More space for the Australians down the right-hand side for the moment with Corica. A little ball to the back post. That's well won in the air. Murray's challenging. Well, it was a fair challenge as well by Damien Murray on Silvio, the Brazilian goalkeeper, after it was won in the air by Agostino. Just over 20 minutes gone. That's a loose ball. And well won by Agostino. Corica just touching it on here to Zelic. He's got Tiato in some space out on the left. Here's Agostino, back to Zelic, the two teammates from 1860 Munich in Germany. Tiato finds a bit of space now. Flipping the ball in, looking for Mori. Well cleared though by Alvaro, and that's a foul. Pushing it back, Fabio Jr. by Craig Moore. Fabio Jr. in the side today really just because Ronaldo isn't in the team. He does come with a very big reputation. Leads AS Roma's attack in Serie A. Scored the winning goal for them just a week ago in the UEFA Cup. And Mike Cockrell, more news from the bench.
Yes, Paul, we've just seen the Brazilian coach Luxemburgo off the bench a couple of times complaining to the fourth official about the heavy treatment that he believes his team are receiving from the Australians. So he's not happy with the officiating at the moment.
Fabio Jr. There goes a Tierson outside him, at least with a decoy run. Fabio Jr. into the area. And a very good tackle indeed. Well, that's an interesting point, Wadey. We'll talk about that in just a moment.
So often they might have the delicate skills, and so often I think we pay them too.
Oof, just look at that. So quick. Fabio Jr. There appeared to be no danger at all, but that's a slap across the wrists for the Australian defence. Just look at the speed here. Fabio Jr. got to the ball. Craig Moore had a couple of metres on it, but he just stretched out a leg, got a toe on it, and that whistle past Bosnich's post.
I'll tell you what, when the last time the Socceroos met Brazil and we were thumped 6-0, there were similar goals scored by Ronaldo under those circumstances. Players just not getting to the ball quick enough, and there were several times, I stand to be corrected on this, that it was Craig Moore second to the ball, as in that instance there. But just regarding the Brazilians, they have got all the fine skills in the world, but I honestly think sometimes because they complain, we think that they're right. Some of the tackles that go in Brazilian football are far worse than we've seen going on here tonight. The Socceroos so far, their tackles have been fair, they've been 50-50, they've been hard. Just because the Brazilians don't like it, I don't think the Socceroos should change anything at the moment.
Alex skips away from Johnson with ease. Still Alex going through the centre. This is brilliant. Alex! Well, if you're waiting to see something that you haven't seen before in a football match, he's the man to provide it. Alex with a superb run. He picked the ball up with his back to goal. He got past Johnson in midfield. There was still plenty of green shirts before him, but right through the centre, and he placed his shot just wide.
Well, that's why he's the best number 10 in Brazil, isn't it? Talk about Brazilian flair, Danielson being able to dribble, but most of these guys can dribble, can't they? And they don't need to play 1-2s or just pass the easy ball. If they've got two men in front of them, they'll have a go and take them on, take a chance, and there's the result.
Johnson playing a long ball forward to Damien Murray. Just lost out, but Brazil will take the ball forward and play the advantage. Tierson goes down as well. Ronaldinho. Tierson now prepared to run at the Australian defence. Ronaldinho gets past two. Alex Ronaldinho. Well, that's what the crowd have come to see. Just superb skill there by Ronaldinho. They really are on the same wavelength, the Brazilian number 7 and the number 10, Ronaldinho and Alex, and we saw a glimpse there of just what they can do. Just take a look at this. Keep your eye on the ball if you can. Alex, back to Ronaldinho, the final pass just lacking. While we were watching that replay, Danielson was getting some more treatment on the halfway line. Just on the 26-minute mark. Still 0-0. A couple of glimpses of brilliance by the Brazilians. The odd moment in attack for the Socceroos as well, but Danielson is back in business on the park. A real blow for the Brazilians if they lost their captain. He was just brushed off the ball there by Muscat. Zelic, players to the left, he goes right. Waiting for some openings now. Well, he's quite adept at turning himself very quickly, but pressure there on Zelic. It's a Brazilian throw-in. Well, this match is just a little bit of a double-edged sword for Frank Farina. He's playing against a very young Brazilian team. He's expected to win against Olympic opposition, but Brazilians are very much an unknown quantity as well. We just don't know what to expect from them. We know they've got individual brilliance, and how will they gel as a team? Corica trying to take advantage of a loose ball, and that's a foul. That's Vanderlei Luxemburgo, the Brazilian coach. Look at this, Zelic's time to line up a shot. Danielson helping Tierson on his way. He's the second most forward Brazilian player already. Here's Alex. Forced back. And Senior way down the right-hand side, and he's been picked out as well. He'll be struggling to keep that one. And more news from the benches from Mike Cockrell. We'll rejoin Mike in just a moment. He's chatting to the bench down there. But Danny Tiato has the ball for Australia. It's a good old-fashioned clearance, but it's effective. One player, Paul, that we haven't seen too much of so far is Paul Agostino. He hasn't played for the Socceroos since 1996. He's only played 2 full internationals anyway. He came back, we were really anticipating to see him play, but he's hardly been in the game so far.
Well, in fact, the 2 strikers, Damian Mori and Paul Agostino, have not been in the game. And this is the problems that the international teams have. Frank Farina's had 5 days to make this a fluent outfit. I think a lot of people just assume that because you're playing with the Socceroos, you can all play together. There's only one ball out there, but it's that understanding, it's that same wavelength that we keep talking about that is the difference between the good teams and the bad. That's why they desperately need games like this, both here in Australia and, as Frank Farina says, 8 or 9 over the year in Europe.
Ocon now for the Socceroos. He's just started to break his way into the first team at Fiorentina in Serie A. Got incredible competition for places at that club, but just recently he's been starting in the side as well after really being just a bench player for most of the first part of the season. And then Murray fouled. Australia forward. Losing out very quickly though. Now Brazil with Alex. Prepared to run up the defence again, going through the middle just like he did before, and he was just nudged there, Alex. And he's calling for a yellow card from the referee, Brett Hugo. Taken quickly, Tierson takes the shot, it was a good one, loose ball. Oh, it's just missed. Fabio Jr. racing in. Bosnich called into action for the first serious time. And Fabio Jr. was the first to react to the rebound, but he just couldn't turn it past the goalkeeper. But Tierson has had such an impact on this game. That was a terrific shot. Bosnich forced to make a genuine save. He spilled the ball. And a let-off there for the Socceroos. Brazil the better moments in the first half as we just go past the half-hour mark. Jelic just bundled off the ball by Mozart. Blue shirts forward, Fabio Junior, flags down, Bosnich again, terrific stop. Well, Ronaldo's not here, but Fabio Junior is, and he is showing that he is quality. Well, Graham Arnold and Frank Farina just wondering how they're going to tighten things up at the back. The flag stayed down, Fabio Junior just got there, and Bosnich with another good save. Brazil's fifth corner. Look at this, free man and a certain goal. Well, so simple really for Brazil. An old-fashioned English goal, if you like, from the Brazilians. A short corner, cross to the far post, poor marking by Australia, and Alvaro is the man to break the deadlock here at Stadium Australia. And there will be an inquest going on in that Australian defence, Wadey.
Well, we've seen that at this stadium before, haven't we, against the World 11. They conceded a very ordinary goal from a corner that day, and they've done the same. Danny Tiato is the only player close enough to get a challenge, and Danny Tiato can't be much more than 5.5 foot. There he is, number 15. No chance of contesting that one. Paulo Constantin still. Craig Moore looking for some sort of inquest. They've been tested a couple of times flat at the back, the Socceroos, but they really do have to start picking up at set pieces.
Well, the rhythm of the game, very Brazilian at the moment, as Fabio Junior looks to continue forward. Brazil in control of this match now. Alex. Broken free for Paul Agostino, who came back an awfully long way to try and get involved in the match. Ocon, Jelic. If ever two players were required to really stand up now for Australia, it's that pairing there. Muscat. Corica, Muscat, Corica again. Two teammates for Wolverhampton Wanderers. And a push off the ball there by Marcos Paulo. And it's an Australian free kick. Certainly physically, the Australian team have a bit more beef about them, certainly more height. So perhaps this is an opportunity for the Socceroos to get back in the game. And it was a clear foul there by Marcos Paulo, despite his protests. Ironically, no Alex Tobin coming up for the free kick now. Actually, seems funny to look at an Australian defence without Alex Tobin there. Throw it to the Socceroos. Kevin Muscat to take it. Murray comes short. Right into the corner. Two defenders on him. Not much there for Damien Murray, though he does come away with the throw-in. Silvio in goal for Brazil today. Brazil brought 3 goalkeepers. He got the nod. That's back across. And that's a corner. Brazilians are obsessed about dominating world football at every level, in every tournament, in every match as well. They've certainly dominated the Australians so far in this match here at Stadium Australia. Plenty of pushing and shoving going on in the centre there as Corica prepares to take the corner. The goalkeeper comes, Moore got there, it went back, Johnson's going to take it! Real power from Richard Johnson. That will give him some kind of boost. The man making his debut for the Socceroos today. Johnson struck that very nicely indeed. It wasn't too far away. Danielson tripped. Tiato. Johnson inside, starting to come more and more into the match as his confidence grows. Tiato in space, that's a nice pass. Far post is Damien Murray. Agostino waiting in the centre. There's Zelic. Outside him is Muscat. This is more promising build-up from Australia. Muscat, good cross. The flag's up though for offside. Tiato again. He started the game very strongly, going outside his man. What can he come up with here? Oh, he's done it again. It's the third time he's got past Mancini. There's Agostino. Not a lot on for him. Here's Johnson again. Good shot there again by the Watford midfielder. Well, two good moments in the last 60 seconds for Richard Johnson. Corica with the role as the attacking midfielder. Johnson and Zelic very much the holders. Paul, it's been Brazil's half so far, but just the last 5 minutes or so we've seen the Socceroos come back into the game.
Yeah, but you see how far they've had to hit the ball to actually get a strike on goal. The frustrating thing for Paul Agostino and Damien Mori is the style of football that the Brazilians are playing. It's not easy to get a ball when the Australians have got possession, to get it from midfield into their feet. There are so many blue shirts sitting in front of those two players. That's why they play a 4-2-2-2. I think that we've shown a number of times now by Tiato that the only way through this Brazilian defence is to go wide.
Well, Brazil are fairly adept at wide play themselves as Tierson wins another corner for the Brazilians. The 6th of the match so far. Been quite fruitful for them as well, with an opening goal from Alvaro in the last one. More Tierson tangling there with the hoardings. You can guarantee that the Socceroo marking will be fairly intense with this corner. It's a bit more convincing at the back as Murray tries to hold off his man and is fouled. Taken quickly. Ocon. Zelic. Corica. Zelic again. Muscat nowhere really for him to go, and he just ran out of room there, and Ronaldinho's on the ball. It's a foul. Alex takes it quickly. Brazil keeping the game moving. Tierson going outside. Great cross! And a great goal as well by Alex. Well, more glances at each other at the heart of the Australian defence, but there's no doubt about the quality of the delivery there and the finish as well from the Brazilian number 10, Alex. But Tierson with the decoy run, Denilson with the cross, but the run was from so deep, it's almost impossible to pick up.
I can assure you this is nothing more than ball watching. Everybody watching the ball at Denilson, nobody going with the runner. Mark Bosnich in a situation like that would be wanting his players so tight they were grabbing shirts.
More tangling with Fabio Jr. Johnson, nowhere really for him to go, so he goes all the way back to Ocon. Craig Moore encouraged to come forward with the ball. Muscat out wide, going down the line with Zelic. Forward, joining into midfield was Ocon. That's what is required by Australia. Ronaldinho for Brazil. Ocon again. It's a good early ball to Corica. Oh, nice play by Steve Corica to pick up Zelic. Support coming now from Kevin Muscat. Johnson. Good early ball from him. Agostino. Moore. Good possession by Australia. The flag's gone up. Corica was just offside there. Nice little passage of play though for the Socceroos, keeping possession for some time. Less than 4 minutes to go until half-time here at Stadium Australia. If you've just joined us, it's Australia 0, Brazil 2. Well, it's been a miraculous first year in charge for Luxemburgo until the Ronaldo affair. Everybody in Brazil is happy with the way he's done things, except for just recently as Mori is into the area, might fancy his chances. He took the shot first time, a natural instincts of a striker coming out there by Damien Mori. More pressure from Australia. Can they get a goal back before half-time? Zelic. Ran into trouble and fouled his man. Tierson tangling there. Zelic nowhere near the ball. Fabio Bilica on the ball for Brazil. Tierson. No real urgency from the Brazilian perspective now. A 2-goal lead at this stage of the game is very much part of the plan for Vanderlei Luxemburgo. Agostino back to Tony Vidmar. This is the first of 2 matches between these two nations, the second at the MCG in Melbourne on Wednesday. So far, Brazil off to a good start in the series. First blood to them, no doubt, but Frank Farina and Graham Arnold will pump his players up at half-time, I'm sure. Tiato's cross. Away for a goal kick. Well, Paul Wade, we're at the end of the first half. It's been a tough road for Frank Farina in his first 45 minutes in charge of the Socceroos.
Very much so. You can see how disjointed they are. They're not on the same wavelength. They're having trouble getting the ball in the middle of the park and keeping it on several occasions. When they do lose possession, they don't pick up quickly enough. There's Marcus Polo in there as well. He's running the show in the middle of that midfield. You've seen all the damage that Ronaldinho can do running at players as well. And Alex in the middle of the park as well. He's rated the best number 10. When you consider that the number 10s are always the greatest players in the team, or the most skillful or the most dynamic, that's a huge compliment to say that about such a young man. But I think it's picking up when they lose possession. That's where their biggest problem seems to come so far, and that's something that's quite easily sorted out if you have somebody in there who knows what they're doing and get it organised really quickly.
Well, the 2 number 8s having a go there, and Mozart for Brazil, Zelic for Australia. Tiato's been a good player for Australia in the first half, and that was played in looking for Agostino. And that was a fantastic pass by Zelic. Tiato. Still green and gold forward with Kevin Muscat on the ball. Zelic helping it back to Muscat. Danielson can't keep with him. And stolen by Brazil. As we are over 30 seconds into time added on. Johnson, who's also had a lively first half. Well, Frank Farina has showed that he's prepared to make the hard decisions in charge of the Socceroos. Alex Tobin, the 87-game veteran captain of the Australian team, not involved in this series. That was a tough one for Farina, but he might have some more hard words to say at half-time as well, because it's Brazil that are well and truly in control of the game here at Stadium Australia. Chances at both ends early on in the half. Bosnich was called in to make a great save from a Tierson from a long-range shot. But it was so simple for Brazil with the first goal. Alvaro with a header from a corner made it 1-0 in the 32nd minute. And then Alex made it 2 after a superb ball forward from Danielson. They make it look so simple, but really it is just quite brilliant from the Brazilian side. But at half-time, it's Australia 0, Brazil 2. We're going to take a short break and be back with more in just a moment.
Well, might the Brazilians cheer because they are leading Australia 2-0 at half-time. Let's go down to the sideline with Mike Cockerell.
Thank you very much, Tracy. With me, Graham Arnold, the assistant coach of Australia. Arnie, your impressions of that first half?
Yeah, obviously, it's not a great result at half-time, 2-0 down, but you know, we've just got to stick at what we're trying to do. Steve Corica is going to push up front this half, take Damien Murray off. I think we just need a bit more penetration up front.
Where do you see the main problem coming from Brazil?
I think our main problems are coming through the middle of midfield. That's what Frankie emphasised at half-time. You know, because they're playing the two guys up front a little bit wider, the midfielders are coming through the middle, and Paul Ocon sometimes man-on-man, 2 against 1.
There was a time when a hard pitch and a hot day would have been in favour of Australia, but not the case today.
No, I think our boys are suffering quite a bit from the heat. You know, it's the first time they've played in this type of heat for a long time. The weather they're used to overseas is in the low temperatures, and they're struggling a bit.
How can we get out of this in the second half?
Well, I think we've got to be a little bit more positive. I think you know, we're not being very penetrating up front. We're not creating much. And I think we're defending a little bit too deep in our own half. We have to maybe put a bit more pressure on them up there.
All the best, Arnie, for the second half. Back to you, Trace.
Thanks, Mike. And as the teams make their way back out onto the field, we'll go back to our commentators, Paul Williams and Paul Wade.
Well, thanks, Tracy. And it's Brad Maloney is the player to come on for Damien Murray. And what a 2 or 3 weeks he's had in football. 3 weeks ago, he was injured and couldn't even get a game for Marconi because of a thigh strain. Now he's been called into the Socceroo squad at late notice, and he's on against Brazil. It was an incredible game, Wadey.
Yeah, it certainly is. But the one thing about Brad Maloney, I hope he can reproduce what he does for Marconi here in Sydney with the Socceroos today. He just loves to run forward. He makes so many good runs that if you hit him first time with a pass, he'll inevitably get on the end of one and score a goal. And that's what they need. They need goals, and I think that's why Frank Farina has just thrown caution to the wind. He was the coach of Marconi last season, and he knows what Brad Maloney's capable of. There he is on your screen. He's such a dynamic player. It's good to see him back on Australian soccer pitches. It's even greater to see him with a green and gold on.
Well, the Australian coaching duo of Frank Farina and Graham Arnold, an early test for them. But back in 1988, Australia played Brazil 3 times, losing 3 times. Graham Arnold and Frank Farina were both playing in all 3 of those games, as was the man sitting next to me, Paul Wade. So you know what it's all about, Wadey. When you're behind against Brazil, it is very difficult to get back into the game.
Yeah, they beat us 1-0 at Olympic Park in Melbourne. We thought we had them sussed. It was a decent result. They beat us 2-0 in the final of the Gold Cup. And when we went to Seoul, we thought, right, we've got them this time. They beat us 3-0. Thanks very much, guys.
Well, the match is underway for the second half, and it's Australia very much with it all to do here. Brad Maloney, an attacking midfielder from Marconi Fairfield, has come on in place of Damien Murray. Steve Corica will be pushing up front alongside Paul Agostino. So Frank Farina has said that he will be a coach that is prepared to take games to opponents and attack them, and certainly that's what he must do here. Marcos Paulo in possession, Danielson back on the park for Brazil. Danielson again. We haven't seen too much of his dribbling skills. Perhaps that early shuddering tackle in the first minute has just stifled him somewhat, but instructions coming to Danielson straight from the bench. Here's Craig Moore for the Socceroos. I've just been handed some information. Sad news for Dede, the Brazilian left back who plays for Borussia Dortmund. Went off in the first half. He's injured his cruciate ligament in his right knee. That's a real shame for him. Moore switching it to Tiatu, who was one of the bright hopes of Australia in the first half. Again running at Mancini, gets past a couple, still Tiatu. Marcos Paulo there to just help out his right fullback. Mozart. Then Nielsen, Atierson. Just held up from going outside Den Nielsen, and the ball will run through quite nicely there for Tony Vidmar. It's been a fantastic year this year for Brazilian football, winning the Copa America, which is the South American Football Championship. They were runners-up in the Confederations Cup with a lot of players from this team. It was almost a Brazilian B team that went to Mexico for that tournament. So no wonder everyone's so happy in Brazil with Vanderlei Luxemburgo, the Brazilian coach. Tierson goes down the line, and then Nielsen is offside. More news from the benches, Mike Cockrell.
Yes, Paul Williams, I can tell you the scoreline has not calmed down the nerves or the tempers, I should say, on the Brazilian bench. The team manager berating the fourth official, Matthew Breeze, just before half-time, even threatening not to bring the team out for the second half. So they're furious with that injury to Dede and the treatment that Denilson and the number 7, I should say the number 10, Alex, have received. So they're still not happy at all.
I'm sure they're happy with the scoreline. As Agostino is wrestled to the ground there, and that has to be an Australian free kick. Marcos Paulo. Certainly a tough player in midfield, Marcos Paulo. Traditionally, the Brazilian number 5 is one of the hardest players in the team. Agostino just holding his shoulder there for the moment. As gets it working again. He's got a damaged wrist, as you can see. Hopefully no further damage up the arm. Now Muscat. Maloney. A great thrill for him to be on the park now. Corica touching on. Great ball. Muscat in behind the defence. Very difficult there for Kevin Muscat. Just bouncing too high for him. He just couldn't get his foot around the ball. But a good positive sign, Paul Wade, that Australia are prepared to push forward and attack Brazil in this second half.
And they push forward in the right areas. They're not going down the middle anymore. They're making sure that they're going to get out wide and expose these two fullbacks, because that's where they've had their best results. Danny Tiatu down that left-hand side. We're starting to see Kevin Muscat come into it. They've got to keep persisting, though. Paul Agostino's good in the air. Will get good support from Brad Maloney down the middle in midfield. But they've got to keep making sure those quality balls keep going in behind the fullbacks.
Well, tough international football going on at Stadium Australia this afternoon. Another player goes to ground. Australia keep the ball. Agostino looking for the referee for a decision in his favour. Doesn't get it. Den Nielsen now with some space in midfield. Very simple tackle and a very good tackle from Kevin Muscat. Well, news to hand from the World Cup for under-17 players going on in New Zealand at the moment. Australia leading Germany by 2 goals to 1. That's offside. In fact, that's a final score. Australia have beaten Germany by 2 goals to 1 after losing their opening game of the tournament to Brazil, ironically. So it's a win and a loss for Len Scheinflug and the under-17 Australian side in New Zealand. But they're back in business over there, which is great news. Australian senior team trying to get back in business here. Ocon wrestling. there, pulling his man down, which is always on the cards in that situation when a player is just shielding the ball over. It was Alvaro, the goal scorer, just throwing him to ground there, Ocon. Well, no sign that the so-called physical approach of the Australian side is going to abate in the second half.
And I don't think it should either. It's a style of football that if we start to try and change too much, it'll be to our disadvantage. I'm not saying we should be going out and kicking lumps out of these guys, but certainly the physical side of things is the sort of thing that has upset world-class teams in the past, and we should continue to do that as well as playing the good stuff when we do have the ball.
Fabio Bilica, Mozart, all the way back to the goalkeeper, Silvio. It'll be interesting to see how Brazil approach this second half, Wadey, because they're 2 up. It's not like they need to go at Australia, but their natural way of playing the game is continue to go forward. Are they more concerned with the result, or are they more concerned with getting the Brazilian rhythm going in this Olympic team?
Absolutely. I think the way the manager, Luxemburgo, has been off the bench so far in this second half, he's not happy with 2-0. He wants to drive the nail home. He's been very disappointed with a number of his players, including Ronaldo. So he's been fired up for this one, and he wants to put the Aussies 6 foot under if he possibly can.
Corica back to Zelic. Early board out wide from him. Whipped in, looking for Maloney, who'll join in from midfield at every opportunity. Zelic on the ball. Well, he scored a terrific goal, Ned Zelic, against the FIFA All-Stars at the opposite end of the ground here at Stadium Australia earlier on last June. And we know he can score from long range, but it's a bit harder one to hit this one. Fabio Bilica. It's a lovely ball forward to Fabio Junior. Fabio Bilica continues forward and stays there. I've seen too much of Ronaldinho in the match. Seen plenty of this man though, Atierson. Danielson. It's easy for Ocon. Alex just holding off his man. Johnson in. Very tigerishly in that tackle. Now Brazil forward again. Here's Ronaldinho. Shot was blocked. Johnson back to Zelic. Ocon. Good first-time ball from Richard Johnson. Pressure here. I don't know how that was handball if he's holding his face, but nonetheless, the decision going against Brazil there. Almost 10 minutes into the second half. Brazil still 2 goals up against the Socceroos. Second half really yet to get going. Muscat, Zelic. Players free on the left now. That was Ocon, in fact. Well, we saw Paul Ocon drift into midfield on a couple of occasions in the first half. He's trying to get forward again, Paul Wade.
I think it's crucial that he gets forward. The more times you can create an extra man in midfield and move the Brazilians around and start committing players that don't want to be there because they're already marking our strikers, the more trouble it causes. You look at Ned Zelic, the job that he's done when he's played sweeper in the past. The midfielders start to tire towards the end of games. Ned Zelic always used to come out and run at players and make life very difficult. Milan Ivanovic, who's retired this season, he was another one who used to do the same. Paul Ocon in this position has got to do a similar job so he can gain the numerical advantage.
Alex on the ball, helped on quickly to Fabio Junior. Like Moore got his head in the way. And that was just so calmly done by Ocon. Real class about the way he just moved out of the defence there, but Brazil are coming forward again. Mozart, late tackle there on Brad Maloney. Surprisingly, considering it's been labelled by the Brazilians as a very physical approach by the Australian side, but there haven't been any yellow cards so far.
Thank you.
From a referee, dare I say it, Wadey, with a slight reputation for brandishing the big yellow card.
Yeah, he's quick fire in the National Soccer League, so maybe this... Well, we've complained so often in the past that maybe referees have taken this too seriously and it's an exhibition type game and all that sort of stuff. Maybe the referees are listening to a lot of the comments now and maybe going too far the other way.
Australia's best ever result against Brazil was in the Confederations Cup 2 years ago when they drew 0-0. Just an astonishing performance by Mark Bosnich in goal that day. O'Connor again goes to ground. Zelic, time to turn. Maloney, back to Zelic. Muscat away. Trying to get inside the fullback. Tierson was looking for just that. There's no way Tierson was going to get away with that. That's an early break for Danielson down the left-hand side. Muscat well out of position, just galloping back there now as Danielson looks for Alex. That's a great ball. Fabio Jr. in space. The flag's down. Fabio Jr. Still Fabio Jr. Bosnich already with a save. The shot comes in off. Unbelievable stop that by Bosnich. Alex shakes his head in absolute disbelief. Well, he helped it on there to Fabio Jr. The flag stayed down. Moore came in and helped that save from Bosnich. But Alex was fed the ball again, and that was just out of this world. Corner to Brazil. Well, that is why the leading club in Europe, Manchester United, are paying this man a wad of money. He was just superb there. We take another look at just how quickly Bosnich's reactions were, and the arms just went flying up to his left when Australia was staring at 3-0. Tiago robbed in midfield. Then Nielsen with an early ball. It took very good run though to Fabio Jr. Little layoff. Marcos Paulo. Alex through the centre. Oh, the cheeky went from Alex. Outside of the boot. Well, that is champagne stuff from Brazil. No signs that they're taking their foot off the pedal. Well, the last couple of minutes have been quite exciting. Mike Cockrell, what's it like from where you are?
Great stuff down here, Paul. The Brazilian coach, Luxemburger, though, is still not happy with the amount of ball that Ronaldinho is receiving.
Maloney's in space here. He pulled it back to great ball. Surely something. Well, that was a great opening. There's no doubt about that for Steve Corica. And Brad Maloney at the heart of it. He just pulled it back. Great work from the Marconi man. There was just one man it was going to, and it was Corica. Sorry, Michael, you were saying?
Yes, Luxemburgo is happy with the scoreline, but not happy with Ronaldinho's performance. He feels that Alex and Danielson aren't playing him in enough. He wants Ronaldinho a lot more involved.
Well, your Portuguese must be improving, mate, so well done picking that one up. But Australia still trailing by 2-0. And if ever, Wadey, we needed a goal, that was the time for it to come.
Yeah, I feel for Steve Corica. That is the worst ball to receive. You know that you've got to score. Everybody in the stadium knows you've got to score, but the thing is, it's not rolling along the carpet. There's a slight bounce there, and it's so hard to focus, and I guess that's why they pay strikers millions of dollars, because they do have that composure in front of goal, and unfortunately Stevie Corica For all the hard work he's done, he'll be dreaming about that one tonight for a long, long time.
Agostino, who's also had a tough time of it in attack for Australia. Ronaldinho, a touch there, perhaps Schomburgo a little bit happier. Alex bringing the ball down. Moore will get there, though. Oh, he's won it back. Ronaldinho inside, looking for Fabio Junior. Tony Vidmar, nowhere really for him to go on this right-hand side. Tiato running at Mancini, getting past him. Fourth time in the game he's managed that, Danny Tiato. There's a chance for Muscat. Well, Kevin Muscat, it fell to his left foot. He has scored for Australia. Just the one goal. Looking for number 2 here. There could be some changes from the Brazilian team. Fabio Junior is coming off. Number 17 and number 19 is coming on. It's Adriano is the number 17 and Vale is the number 19. And the player also to go off with Fabio Junior is Ronaldinho. Quick touch there for Vale, but a push in the back straight away. The 2 substitutes involved. Adriano is a midfielder, he's 22 years of age. Vale is an out-and-out attacker, plays for Udinese in Serie A. No shortage of quality in the substitutes as well. So Alex is pushing forward more now. Danielson also surging forward through the centre and tipped up by Danny Tiato. And the first yellow card of the game goes to the Australian number 15. And Danielson wrong-footed Tiato there. He just had his leg extended anyway. It wasn't a bad tackle, really. Looked worse than it was, perhaps.
I just wonder whether he got booked for kicking the ball away. So often in the game of soccer, they don't want anybody to waste time. Yes, it was a free kick. But Danny Tiato totally frustrated on that left-hand side. He needs more service. He knows he can beat Mancini in that right-back position, and he's just not getting the ball often enough.
Slick footwork from Brazil. Flag would have gone out because it was offside, but Australia win the ball back with Tiato. That's 4 times by my count that he's got outside a speedy Brazilian fullback in Mancini and got the cross in as well, which is terrific work from him. Muscat now looking to do the same on the right-hand side. Gets past his man, he won't get to that one though. Corner to the Socceroos. Tries to take it more forward from the back. Agostino, perhaps Australia's most aerially strong player. Moore won the ball in the end. Alex, look at that. Alex again. Man free on the right, but he goes to the left in Danielson. Australia just stretched a fraction. Danielson with a very early ball. He's shown a distinct lack of willingness to take on his fullback, Danielson, today, which is just a little bit surprising. We all know what a great attacker of defenders he is. Mozart into the back there of Johnson. did play the ball fairly cleanly there. With the hindsight of a replay, and he's won the ball again, and that's great play from him. There's Corica now. Little touch on. Agostino looking for some room there. Didn't find it. Here's Maloney. That's a great ball. Tiato's in some space. Drilling it across. Corner to the Socceroos. And more reason for some optimism for the Australian fans here at Stadium Australia. Corica across to take it. It's Australia's fourth. Zelic. Oh, that's a great ball by Johnson out wide on the left. Early cross comes in. Moore is underneath it. So too is Pearson. Johnson. Moore. Maloney. Curling it in from Maloney. That's easy for the goalkeeper the size of Silvio. Now there's space on the left for Pearson. Second yellow card of the afternoon goes to Kevin Muscat. Take another look at that challenge from Muscat. Doesn't actually make contact with Pearson, but the challenge forced Pearson to just take some evasive action. And the noise you can hear around the stadium is the wave that's making its way around. Johnson now. He's looking more and more positive as the game goes on. Tony Vidmar. Waiting for some movement from Agostino. Steady got it from Zelic. Little chip inside is a good one to Tiato. Plenty of green and gold shirts forward here. Couple at the back post. Maloney one. He's a player with a real eye for goal. Agostino's in there challenging. Johnson, Agostino. Oh, Trish tried to get back to Johnson. It would have been a great little move, but now Brazil on the counter. They've got blue shirts everywhere. 5 of them, in fact, forward. Alvaro going from the back. He's being tugged. Well, there was contact outside the area. I think the advantage was played, and then he went down in the area, but no complaints from the Brazilian number 4 to his credit. But that's perhaps where there was a case for it. And that was actually quite brilliant defending from Kevin Muscat.
That was sensational. That is pushing the edge of the referee's red card. No problem at all. He's just got a yellow. If he'd have gone down a bit earlier, that would have been Kevin Muscat with his marching orders, and then we never know what would have happened with the Brazilians.
But we're seeing what's happening here with Alex, and it's dribbled through to Bosnich just before Alex could get the shot in. You're right, Wadey, I forgot about the yellow card. That would have been red, and that would have been out of the Melbourne game as well. So there was a lot at stake for Muscat with that challenge. Tiato back to Tony Vidmar, just trying to slow things down. Oh, this is more good play from Brazil. No one in the centre though. Forced to play a little chip in, and that is a corner. And while we're waiting for the ball to come back, we'll cross down to Mike Cockerell.
Yes, Paul, there's news from the Australian bench. Zelko Kalats, the goalkeeper, I believe, will be replacing Mark Bosnich in the next few minutes.
Oh, Kalats just going off to warm up with Ron Corrie. That's Tony Vidmar in shot. He's had a very busy afternoon. Mark Bosnich, who will forget that save he made earlier on from Alex. That was out of this world. A bit of work here for Bosnich as well, but fairly easy for him. Corica to Tiato, coming inside. Mozart, Pearson. Then Nielsen outside him. Flags up, offside. I'm just looking at Mark Bosnich. He's stretching his hamstring while he's waiting for the ball to come back to him. Just prior to him there, we'll just see how he looks. He's moving fairly slowly, but let's just see what he does here. Yes, there he goes again. He's stretching the hamstring. He's not taking any chances. Let's just see what he does with this kick on his left foot. No pressure coming on him from the Brazilians. Almost a good ball for Maloney. Agostino holding it up. Corica, foul. Well, Brazilians have great reputations from set pieces at free kicks, but they've had no opportunities in this match so far. But it's Australia now with possibilities here. Ned Zelic, perhaps the man to step forward. Mark Bosnich will be coming off any second now because he really is struggling, and that's a yellow card to the number 10, Alex of Brazil, the first Brazilian name into the book. Bit of pushing and shoving going on in the wall there. Corica wants to stand on the end of the wall. The Brazilians don't want that. It's up to Brett Hugo to really take control of the situation there. Now, yeah, a bit of action here. Oh, well, that was a mess. Loose ball, hits the post. Well, there was pushing and shoving going on in the wall, outside the wall. The free kick was taken anyway, and Australia almost scored. As we take a look at the replay here, and it fell nicely and came off a defender in the end. It would have been an OG. Great play by Muscat, whipping the cross in, it's a corner. Well, it certainly was tough in that last free kick. Just look at this. Richard Johnson knows how to take care of himself after playing for Watford in the First Division and the Premier League. No wonder there was a bit of a response from the Brazilian wall, and Johnson was very lucky the referee didn't see that. Corica away from the goalkeeper, loose ball here, chance for Australia, surely something. And it's another corner. Well, the goalkeeper came and was nowhere near it. Taken short this time. Corica back to Johnson, he's got to try his luck. Well, now the substitution will take place. Zelko Kalats will be coming on for Mark Bosnich. Play will be held up for just a moment while that change is made. And the number 11 is being held up as well. We're seeing number 19 for Australia, Sean Babbage, come on. He played last night and scored for Marconi against the Northern Spirit. Scored after the 4th minute. He hasn't got too long to make an impact here. And it's Agostino who's making way. There's still no sign of Kalats coming on for Bosnich, though can't be too far. Brett Emerton has just snuck on as well. Paul Ocon was the player to make way for Emerton. So there's a lot going on here at Stadium Australia. Mike Cockrell, I know it's all action down where you are.
Yes, Paul, Mark Bosnich has actually asked for a couple more minutes on the park before he's replaced. I think that the coaching team of Farina and Arnold will also be bringing on Brett Emerton and pushing Kevin Muscat into central midfield.
So Zelko Kalats has been warming up for the last 10 minutes or so. Frank Farina says that's enough of the 2 minutes, and Mark Bosnich is now going to go off. now plays his football in the Dutch First Division with Roda. Comes on for the final 13 minutes or so. There's been a bit of a reshuffle out there, Wadey, with Emerton coming on. Just talk us through what's the changes here. Zelic has gone back to sweeper, I see.
Yes, he's replaced Paul Ocon as a sweeper. Kevin Muscat's playing more of a central midfield role now so that Brett Emerton can play out on this right-hand side. Sean Babbage is the one who's making sure that everybody's kept honest in the middle of the park.
Now, time for Varley to turn. It's not too much support, though. 3 red, green and gold shirts around him. Adriano. Oh, that's very well won in the tackle. Australia forward. Johnson. Oh, that's got to be a foul. Marcos Paulo just put his body in between the player and the ball. A tackle more in keeping from a different football code, perhaps. Great moment for the Marconi Club in the west of Sydney with Brad Maloney and Sean Babbage now on the park. The Socceroos side basically made up of European-based players. There's a nice local message for Frank Farina, perhaps. The flag was up for offside before the foul there by the Brazilian number 4, Alvaro, on Steve Corica. So it's Corica and Sean Babbage leading the attack for Australia. Maloney joining in whatever he can. Emerton and Theato still wide. And Mark Bosnich back on the bench. There's some strapping on that hamstring, and that could see him out of Wednesday's game. There's extra pressure too on these players not to go back to their European clubs with injuries. As Emerton ball is switched to Theato. Ball into the near post was a good run. Sean Babbage always prepared to chase lost causes, and that's a goal kick. But just on that, Paul Wade, while Brazil are trying to make a change, Bosnich obviously plays for Man United, the biggest club in the world at the moment. He won't want to go back and tell Alex Ferguson he's pulled a hammy and be out of the game for 4 weeks.
No, not at all. The interesting thing was that he's asked to come off, so we knew maybe that that hamstring was hurting, and then somebody passed the ball straight back to him so he could smash it up the other end with that hamstring that was damaged. So yes, there is obviously an injury there, and I guess these players do have to be very careful, because Frank Farina is going to ask for these players again and again. We know the trouble that Harry Kewell's going through at the moment. The last thing we need is trouble from more and more clubs who have the firearms to sort of suggest that whenever they go and play for their country, they're going to come back injured.
Well, the Brazilian number 10, and Alex, has made way after a real sparkling performance from him. It was a pleasure to watch him play, and replacing him is the number 18, Lincoln. Plays in the Brazilian First Division for Atletico Mineiro. Luxemburgo up off the bench, keen to keep up the tempo of his team. Zelic equally comfortable at sweeper as he is in midfield. Johnson still tough tackling in midfield. Danielson. Bala back to Marcos Paulo. Space here for Atierson. Put up from Mozart. Less than 8 minutes left on the clock for the Socceroos. Emerton. 2 Brazilians around him. Nowhere really for him to go. Alvaro all over Sean Babbage. It's a nice switch of play from Craig Moore to his Rangers teammate Tony Vidmar. Vidmar surging forward, that's what he loves to do, really. He's shackled just a little bit with his natural game by playing centre-back rather than wing-back. It's a nice turn inside. Brazil have a man free on the left-hand side. It's Den Nielsen. Danger here for Australia. The ball goes right. Blue shirts in the centre, but cut out by Kevin Muscat doing a job from midfield. And that's the danger for the Socceroos, these breakaways. Vale. Adriano. Well, each side is allowed to use 5 substitutes plus a goalkeeper. Certainly Luxemburgo taking advantage of that. Very much a fact-finding mission for him as well, in a sense. Brazil due to play their Olympic qualifying matches in a tournament in January. Only 2 teams from South America will be playing in the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games. Based on today's showing, you'd almost put your house that one of them would be Brazil. Corica, straight to Mozart. It's a nice ball from him. And Maloney did well coming back in midfield. Six minutes to go, Wadey. Australia would desperately love to go to Melbourne with a goal under their belt.
They definitely need a goal for their own self-confidence, as well as to let the Melbourne public know that they've got a team worthy of watching. It's been difficult for them, hasn't it? They've been talking about how different the weather conditions are, and I must admit that there wouldn't be much oxygen out there for a lot of these players. It's fine when you're playing in crisp conditions, that you can suck the air in, no problem at all, but in the heat out there, it's nice sitting in the stand, but running around for 90 minutes against the Brazilians, who keep the ball moving at all costs, therefore keep you moving, it becomes very difficult indeed. I think the 90 minutes will have done them some very, well, some great deal of confidence. They've got a few problems sorted out, that's for sure. They know where their problems are. Certainly Frank Farina will know, suggesting that middle of the park defensively is a problem, picking up at free kicks is a problem, knowing that the width is the key to this attack for the Socceroos. Danny Tiato has played superbly well. Kevin Muscat got into it down this right-hand side as well. So there's been a lot of questions answered, still a lot to be fully answered. But I'm sure that very, very valuable 90 minutes.
Richard Johnson, his first game for the Socceroos.
Steady. I wouldn't say that it was anything to write home about, but certainly steady.
Brazil come forward here. Craig Moore has also been steady at the back, and he was the man that just intervened there. Zelko Kalac is almost in the Bosnich mode. Model, rather, of very vocal at the back, very confident at the back as well. As we take a look at the break here, Mancini it was down the right-hand side. The player sliding in was the number 17, Adriano. Muscat to Tiato. We're really for him to go down the line. He almost lost his way there, Tiato, but was well to keep the ball in. Tony Vidmar, less than almost 3 minutes on the clock now. Been a very warm afternoon here in Sydney, and the players just showing some signs now that they are running out of legs, and there's some real decisions to be made by those two men, Graham Arnold and Frank Farina. Both played against Brazil 3 times and lost 3 times. Both very new to the coaching game, it should be said as well. Graham Arnold in his 2nd year as player coach at Northern Spirit. And that is just a super ball. Is there something for Brazil here? Well, against the shorter goalkeeper there may have been. Not against the man who's 6'7". Just tried to clip it over the top of him. There, the Brazilian number 19. Onside, Muscat forward. Is there something for him here? Not a lot of room to move. Emerton takes over though. Muscat, Emerton confusing each other. Touched on, flags up for offside. Silvio had it covered anyway. Luxemburgo still looking for more from his side with just a couple of minutes remaining. Just about took their head off Steve Corica, that one. Still feeling the effects. Welcome to the game there for the substitute from Craig Moore. There's a fan run on the pitch, would you believe it? Fully clothed, no streaker, and it's a Brazilian supporter just trying to get a touch of Nielsen. The Brazilian fans are really enjoying it, but not the security guards. There they are, the fans love that. Well, he almost got to the Brazilian captain, Danielson. Muscat returns the ball to Brazil.
I must say, it's worth a chance, isn't it, really? I mean, he's run 60 or 70 yards. There was a fair chance that Danielson would have got an autograph on it. He asked him. He had the pen in his hand. He's probably going to cop a hefty fine for it.
I think it's about 5,000 for invading a pitch these days.
Well, he'd probably get 10 grand for the autograph.
Oh, sharp turn. Luxemburgo is talking to the referee.
I don't condone violent football, but I must make a comment about Craig Moore's tackles today. They've been nothing short of barbaric, some of them, and I hate to say that because I know that Craig Moore is a valuable player and he's a strong, hard tackler, but some of the challenges he's putting in today are nothing short of disgraceful. We've seen the likes of Johnson with that headbutt in the wall. These things are not good for Australia's reputation if we're going to take on the likes of Brazil in the future. Yes, we are physical and we're strong, but hey, there are boundaries, there are limits to which you can go to, and certainly a couple of players out there are stepping outside of those limits.
Well, almost 2 minutes into time added on here. Australia will go down to Brazil today. There's no doubt about that now. It'll be interesting to see what the comments are from the Brazilian team after the game, Wadey, on that topic you were just talking about. Just over 50,000 fans in Stadium Australia for the match. See Brazil take on the Socceroos. Is there something else left in the game? Well, perhaps. Says Adriano down the left for Brazil. Danielson leaves it. He almost looked disinterested in the ball the way it came to him there, Danielson. And that will go through to Zelko Kalats.
It's party time, really, isn't it, now for the Brazilians? You can see they're enjoying this. They're knocking it around. really no intention of trying to get forward with every pass. They're just enjoying playing football. And this is where, if it was a Brazilian crowd or an Italian crowd, you'd hear the ole every single time they pass the ball.
And there's a late surge from Australia, perhaps. Players waiting in the centre. Corica is one of them. Too many blue shirts for Australia, for Brazil rather, as there have been throughout this match. That one was just kept inside. There's still a possibility. Maloney laying it off to Emerton. Another Australian-based player in the Australian lineup today. Danielson, got a long way to go, but he's got through 2 or 3 and brought down by Johnson. And a yellow card for Richard Johnson.
Well, you said you hadn't seen much of that Danielson brilliance, but have a look at the little two-touch here with both feet. Didn't quite see it on that replay, but it was one touch with the right, one touch with the left, and he'd split 2 defenders in half.
3 yellow cards for Australia today. Muscat, Tiato and Johnson. Almost 4 minutes of time added on at Stadium Australia. Honours to Brazil. Sparkling performance by them, really. It's particularly in the first half. Craig Moore has had a busy time in the heart of the Australian defence today. They'll have to do it all over again on Wednesday at the MCG. And Danielson and Moore will once again be competing against each other. Hugo, a glance to the watch. Can't be too long now. It was Alvaro and Alex who scored the vital goals for Brazil in the first half. Alvaro from a corner, Alex through the centre, and there is the final whistle. And it has been confirmed that the Nike man of the match was the Brazilian number 10, Alex. Terrific performance by him. There he is.